putting this training on is one of the goals is to have 500,000 one-to-ones conducted during International Networking Week. And that starts on February 4th and goes through the 10th. So this is a great conduit into that. Gina's going to dazzle you with her brilliance, and I'm going to turn it over to Truman so he can introduce her. So thank you so much, Truman, and thank you, Gina.
Thanks, Steve. I won't keep you from Gina's dazzling brilliance too long, but it's my pleasure to introduce one of my favorite trainers and definitely a valued member of our global learning and development team, Gina. Gina has 15 plus years of experience in BNI, first as a member and a chapter leader, and then holding various roles in the field from area director to regional director. She's launched over a dozen chapters in her BNI career, built the Charlotte region to an average chapter size of 30 during her tenure there, and has supported and trained thousands of members across the globe. Gina is a graduate of Sandler training and an advanced speaker at Toastmasters International. During her traditional business career, she held various roles at Nordstrom Incorporated, where she won the Inverted Pyramid Award, a company record 3 times. It's an award given in recognition of servant leadership. For those of you who know her, you definitely know that her passion in life is helping others develop into successful leaders. So please join me in welcoming Gina Harrell.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Truman. You guys are too kind. I appreciate you. And thank you all for joining us today for our International Networking Week training series on impactful one-to-ones. It is great to have you all with us. First things first, let's talk about what we're going to talk about during the time that we have together today. I thought it might be easy to just kind of break it down into why, what, and how. Why do we do one-to-ones? What is an effective one-to-one anyway? What tools should I use? And then how do I make an impact with my one-to-ones? The title of the session is impactful one-to-ones. So we would be missing a huge opportunity to tell you how you can make an impact if we don't have that part of the conversation. So those are our topics for the time we have together today. In the spirit of starting with why, let's do that. Why do one-to-ones? I would like to hear from you in the chat. Why do we do one-to-ones in BNI? What's the point? Abilio, say more about that. One-to-ones is where the magic happens. What magic are we talking about? Gladys, yes, get to know each other, understand each other, meet each other, building trust, get to know our referral partners, see how I can refer them, how we can help each other. Yes, to get to know our members better, to build relationships. Yes, you guys already understand this. Absolutely. 2 of the most important reasons that we do one-to-ones are to accelerate the relationship building process and to generate referrals. Here's why that matters. Because business is all about relationships. How well you build them determines how well they build your business. And I don't know about you, but that has certainly been my experience in BNI, that building strong business relationships enabled me to build my business. So let's move to the what and talk about what makes a one-to-one effective. Generally, the first part of your one-to-one is focused on building the relationship if you're a newer member, or strengthening the relationship if you already have a solid foundation. You know, and sometimes members think, okay, well, I've done a one-to-one with everybody in my chapter. I've met with them. I'm going to check that box. We want to encourage you to meet consistently with your referral partners because things change in their life and in their business. And you're going to want to keep up on that. Things change in your life, in your business, and you're going to want to be able to share with them. Maybe they expanded their service area or they've added a new product or service. We want to keep up on those things consistently. So the beginning of your one-to-one is focused on building and strengthening the relationship. And I love that our founder, Dr. Ivan Misner, talks about the fact that there are 3 reasons you need a network: information, support, and referrals. When you have strong relationships with your fellow members, they are a source of all three of those business needs for you. I think about times when I've seen chapters rally around a member who had a fire at their house, or some sort of flood at their business, or they needed some piece of information quickly to solve a business issue. Their network rallied around them. So having strong relationships is a powerful force in your business. And as with most things in BNI, we've got some tools that you can use to make the best and most effective use of your time when you are doing one-to-ones. Your member biography and your gains exchange are two of those essential tools. We recommend that you review and update them consistently. And hopefully we're all doing that as we log into BNI Connect now and then. We take a look at our bio and make sure that it's updated and correct. We make sure that our gains exchange is correct. We're at the beginning of a new year, so likely we have updated some of our goals maybe. Maybe some of our accomplishments have changed. Maybe we accomplished some new things in 2023 that we want to be sure to share in 2024. So if you are conducting an effective one-to-one, you are using these two documents to begin the process of building a relationship with someone who's a newer member, or strengthening that relationship with your existing members. The information on these documents is designed to help you get the conversation started and to keep it on track. And, I don't know about you guys, we're really busy with meetings and we have a lot of meetings and nobody needs another meeting unless you really have a purpose for your meeting. And we have a purpose for this one, to strengthen relationships and generate referrals. Sometimes we sit down with a fellow referral partner and we think, I don't know if I'm going to have anything in common with this person. Our businesses are so very different. In those kind of cases, we recommend that maybe you start with the interest portion of the gains exchange to see if you can find some commonalities and begin the process for having a discussion and sharing some things about yourself and your business. Now, probably not anyone on this call, but other people I know like to have fun-to-ones. And I love to have fun. If you know me at all, you know that fun is one of my personal core values. However, our focus here is on building relationships and passing referrals. So these documents give us an agenda to follow to keep our conversation on track and to keep our meeting focused. So that's the first part of the meeting, focused on building that relationship. The second part of the meeting, after you talk through some of the things on your bio and your gains exchange, is to get down to the business of generating referrals and possible introductions to people in your network. This is one of the key goals of the meeting. We affectionately refer to this part of the meeting as a referral strategy session. A referral strategy session. So you're going to sit down together and talk about generating referrals and making introductions. And as we did with the first part of our one-to-one, BNI has some tools that you can use in this part of your one-to-one as well to keep your conversation focused and effective. I hope that everyone has seen these documents, the last 10 customer worksheet and the contact sphere planning sheet. The reason we use these is that there are two types of referrals that you can receive in BNI. The first one, of course, is a direct referral to a potential client, someone who's in the market for your product or service. The second type of referral is to a potential referral partner. So these two documents help you plan to ask for both types of referrals. Using the last 10 customer worksheet, you can create a profile of your ideal customer. You can share those characteristics with your referral partner, let them know what to look for, what to listen for, that might lead to an opportunity to do business with someone in their network. So maybe you give them some tips on how to introduce you into the conversation. The thing I love about the last 10 customer worksheet is it helps us develop this profile of maybe it's somebody in a certain geography. Maybe there's a demographic piece of connectivity there between those customers. Maybe there's a psychographic piece to it. When we think about our last 10 customers, where did they come from? What do they have in common? How can I find more of them? People that are ideal for me to do business with. So that is the first kind of referral you can ask for in your one-to-one and look for is a direct piece of business. The second type is someone in your contact sphere, a potential referral partner. So your contact sphere worksheet is going to help you identify some key referral partners that might be missing from your chapter. Who is in your contact sphere? So those symbiotic businesses that complement your business but don't compete with you, that you can give referrals to and receive referrals from. It's a great opportunity during your one-to-one to ask your referral partner who in their network is in one of those key categories that they can introduce you to. And at this point, it's likely that you've pulled out your phone and you're scrolling through contacts, or maybe you've checked your LinkedIn profile and you're looking for potential customers and potential referral partners when you are sitting down with the other people in your network. I'd love to hear from you at this point. What is the best referral you ever received during the course of a one-to-one? Feel free to raise your virtual hand and we can ask you to unmute and share. I would love to hear, what is the best referral you ever received during a one-to-one? Nobody wants to share? Don't be shy. Gladys, hello. Thank you for sharing. Please feel free to unmute and share a story with us.
So during a one-to-one, I was meeting with my then president. This was over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And she knew she had never sent me any referrals before. But in that conversation, she knew what I did, who I was looking for. And within a month, she introduced me to a nonprofit of which she was the board of. And in that introduction, she, did a very good job of explaining what I did on the employee benefit side of things and what they were looking for. And so I responded back and I did all the things that I needed to do to let them know, hey, what you were told is pretty much what I do. And so they got on my schedule. And one of the things that I said, what is important to you? And they said, well, you've already done the da-da-da-da-da-da, which were the things that I had already had the conversation with the president of my chapter at the time. I went through and I realized I was being interviewed by the nonprofit. And so we went through this whole process and they chose me out of all the others. And I was a last minute throw my name in the hat. They are very happy with me. We did their renewal and they recently told me about a week ago that they would not have been able to do the things they've done this last year if it hadn't been for my organization. So I was like, yes, I mean, it's one of my bigger clients. It's not my biggest client, but it is one of my bigger clients that I was like, oh yeah, score. So the one-on-ones make a difference when they know exactly who you're looking for. It's going to pop into their mind and go, oh yeah, let's put her name in the hat.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story, Gladys. Appreciate you. It is imperative that we communicate to our referral partners how they can connect us to potential clients. They have to have an understanding, though, of what we do. And I've seen feature presentations sometimes get into sort of the technical aspects of what we do and all of that. And that's not the ideal place for that. A one-to-one is a better place for us to give somebody a holistic view of what we do, not necessarily how we do it, but also how they can connect us. I thought that I saw another hand up for somebody who maybe wanted to share about a great referral they had received based on a one-to-one they had. Did I see that wrong?
We have Noelia. Hello.
Hi, hello, Truman. Hello, Gina. I am relatively new to BNI, but a really important client from one-to-one. It was a lawyer. They needed a certificate translated. I'm a translator and an interpreter. And since then, we have built a relationship where I have continually translated for other partners in the firm. And I'm also their English teacher. And it has just balled up from there. And like Gladys was saying before, it was the person knowing exactly who you were looking for in that one-to-one. So they are also another source for referrals for me. So it was the best referral I got within one-to-one for sure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing these stories. One-to-ones are so powerful. So like Abilio said in the chat earlier, it's where the magic happens. It's an opportunity for us to open doors for people in the spirit of the core value of giver's gain and connect them to things that we have no idea, to Noelia's point, what the ripple effect of that might be and how many more opportunities might open up to us based on that. So I love those kind of stories. Now I want to hear from somebody. I love this question, so I want to ask you this one as well. What's the best referral that you ever gave to somebody when you were doing a one-to-one? In the spirit of giver's gain, let's look at the other side of the equation. What's the best referral you ever gave somebody? I see Jaminda and Abilio. So and Janet. All right. Truman, you want to?
Actually, not the gave referral, the same thing that exciting referral that I got it, right? That's what I would just want to explain, right? Because it's a very excitement, because not like other two ladies what's happened, it is a different way it happened to me. If I explain you, I had a debtor for more than 8 months, which have been struggling to get my money back to my company because it has been not getting the money, right? I've been struggling. I was writing to them and I've tried to get the contact of the topmost people because there was a second level, my payment being stopped in by second level. I don't know what was the reason. So I had a one-to-one with one of the IT specialists in my chapter, right? And I have done this project to international school, one of the international schools in Sri Lanka. So when I had the one-to-one, he happens to mention about this school's name, that he has a contact in his contact sphere. This school name is appear there, right? So I asked whether you have a good contact on this company, whether I had a small issue on my payments because I couldn't get this payment for last 8 months. So you won't believe he has the contact of the second in command of that company, right? So he immediately called the guy and he said that I have a friend of mine seated in front of me and he has a small issue. Can you listen to him? So then he was in a meeting. He said, okay, brief me within 2 minutes, because since I know how to pitch 30-second weekly presentation, so I can pitch my problem in 2 minutes. So I pitched that in 2 minutes to him, right? Then he said, call me after 3 hours. My meeting will be over after 3 hours. You call me and you know the number, so you call me after 3 hours. So I called him after 3 hours and I explained him the whole scenario, what has happened to me. Thank God to that, within 4 days, I got my payment, right? Within 4 days, I got my payment. Last 8 months, I've been struggling to get this payment, and I couldn't get a proper contact person to reach and get this payment. After this one-to-one, within 4 days, I got my payment. This was a huge payment. I got it within 4 days. That was my experience in one-to-one.
All right. I love that story. Jamila, thank you so much for sharing. So as I talked about, when you have a strong network, you might need information, you might need support, you might need a referral. This is a story about someone who needed support from somebody in their network to help them solve a problem. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's where I get so excited about, as I mentioned, that strong relationships are such a powerful force in your business. What a great story. All right. Thank you for sharing. Let's hear from Abilio and then Janet. Whoops, sorry. Abilio and then Janet on referrals that you gave that were amazing during a one-to-one.
Thank you, Gina. It was my second year in my BNI journey. And I learned early that to be specific, to be terrific, and I'm sure half of the room have heard that before. So at the end of I was meeting a marketing specialist. They do inbound marketing, working with the CRMs and stuff like that. And I asked him not just only describing your ideal prospect, but also I asked him, do you have the name of a company or people that you want be introduced? And say yes. He was ready, it's a marketing guy, super smart, and he gave me a list of 10 companies, and C-level names and very well detailed. I went through the list, and at the bottom, the number 10, I say, I don't know this person, but I know somebody that works there. Immediately, I say, you know what, Rob, I'm not gonna call later. I'm gonna call right now with you here, because if not, I may forget. I wrote that person, and when I asked to that person, the person that I was asking for, she literally did, let me talk. Oh, okay, let me stand up. She went out and said, yes, I know her. She's my boss. Right there. That was middle of the week. Next Monday, they set up a lunch meeting with her boss, and it was $200-something thousand. Thank you for close business 3-4 months later of that. So that is my story.
That is amazing. How good does it feel to know that you gave someone that opportunity?
You want to see it? It's like right.
Oh, I love that. That's excellent. Yeah. All right. Thank you for sharing, Abilio. Janet, let's hear from you, and then we will move on.
Sure, I'll be quick.
Janet. Sure.
I have a client of mine. We were doing a review. I'm a financial advisor, and in the review, I just asked her, what would you guys like to accomplish? Kind of like the vision. She's like, oh, I'd love to have my dream home. And I'm like, well, let's talk about that. And so, long story short, I referred her to the general contractor of the chapter, and she ended up purchasing the land, and he built her $1 million home. And she got her in-law quarters, and her husband has his room where he can have his musician room, and the kids have, it's amazing. It was like a $1.3 million. Thank you for closed business for the GC, and they have their dream home. She didn't think it was possible, but it was.
That is amazing. You guys, this is what I love about the +1 of BNI. These amazing stories, excuse me, where we've made connections for people and we've made a dream come true for them, really, right? I mean, in Janet's case, she made someone's dream home a reality for them, or helped facilitate that process. In Abilio's case, a dream referral. I mean, to Truman's point in the chat, that's where being specific is terrific. Maybe you list your last 10 customers and then 3 dream referrals that you have. You never know who in your network knows somebody and can make a connection for you. Back in the day, my husband is a general contractor. He also does a home improvement show on Saturday mornings, and he and his radio partner have been on the air for close to 30 years now, but they wanted to get syndicated. And I thought, somebody in my BNI network must know somebody that can help them do this. And I was able to network my way to that opportunity to open up a door to syndication for them. So I would never have been able to do that without BNI. That is what I love. That is so much fun. I love the stories. All right, you guys rock. Let me ask you one more quick question, and we'll answer this one in the chat before we move on. Are there any other tools? What other tools do you use in your one-to-ones besides these documents that I mentioned here? I did upload them into the chat in case you want to have your hands on them, as well as the one-to-one tracker. But I'm thinking, I know some people might bring a brochure for their business, or some other kind of marketing collateral that you want to share. What other kinds of things? Just share in the chat if you would. What other kind of things that you guys use? Because again, we've got a global audience here, which allows us to get a lot of great information and tools that maybe we hadn't thought of using for our one-to-ones. All right, we talked about why we do one-to-ones. We talked about what makes them effective. I would be remiss if I didn't address some of the things that we've been asked over the years as it relates to one-to-ones. And as far as we're concerned, what's not really very effective. And I want to bring this up simply because over the years that I have served in the field in BNI, I got a lot of these questions. Fund-to-ones are great. Love them. However, by definition, they're not really a referral strategy session. So let's have fun. Let's get together with our referral partners. Absolutely. Some of my favorite people are in the BNI chapter that I used to be in. And so I love to have fun-to-ones with them. That is not a referral strategy session, though. Group one-to-ones. So by definition, a one-to-one is 2 people sitting down to have a referral strategy session, a conversation, to build a relationship. A power team meeting is not a one-to-one. So we don't want to put those into BNI Connect, into the mobile app, as one-to-ones. And really, here's why, you guys, is that who wins? I mean, yes, I can get to green in the power of one by having, putting that in there, but who really wins if I game the system? That's not a winning formula for us. So let's avoid those kind of things. Office calls. We had a guy in one of our chapters who was an IT professional, and every time someone in the chapter called him to fix their computer or check their email or do whatever, if something wasn't working, he would put that in as a one-to-one. And it's not really the purpose of it. He was going there to serve them and support them. Do all of these activities maybe build relationships? Absolutely. They strengthen them. Chapter socials and parties. We had a chapter one time that had a summer picnic, and everybody at the picnic put everybody else down as a one-to-one. And the chapter president called me and said, how do I deal with this diplomatically to explain to them that, really in the purest sense, that's not a one-to-one. And so I just want to address it briefly and kind of put it out there and just remind everybody what the point is of a one-to-one. Steve and I were talking about this yesterday when we were reviewing the presentation. If you don't walk away from a one-to-one with a referral, either to a potential client or a potential referral partner, we have missed a huge opportunity. So let's keep the goal of the meeting in mind as we are sitting down across from our referral partners to have one-to-ones. All right, let's talk about what makes it impactful then. So we talked about why, we talked about what the purpose is, what the tools are. What can we do to make an impact? One of the ways to make the biggest impact in our one-to-ones is to proactively plan and prepare for them. I invite you to be very strategic in your approach to one-to-ones. Meet with the people in your contact sphere right away. If you're a newer member in your chapter, they are your path to potential customers because they have the same general target market that you do. When you have new members, if you're a more seasoned member, Abilio's been in BNI for a number of years. As a more seasoned member, he's not waiting for the new members to come to him to begin building the relationship. He's going to proactively reach out to them to have a one-to-one. So connect with those new members, welcome them into your chapter, set a time to begin building that relationship. Here's something that we know. Most of our members who leave within their first year of membership say that the reason they left in exit surveys is because they didn't think anyone would miss them. If we're having one-to-ones and we're building relationships and we're helping people get connected, there's going to be a lot of people that would miss them if they left their chapter. I mean, I think about my own BNI journey. I joined BNI back in 2006. When I left my traditional business career and I started my journey as an entrepreneur, I had relocated to Charlotte recently. I didn't know anyone here. So I set a goal for myself in my first 90 days in BNI to do 3 one-to-ones a week. I was not going to miss that opportunity to get to know the people in my chapter. I needed to make some connections in Charlotte. And I also needed car insurance and business cards and other things to go along with my move. And so I was able to give some referrals right away, although I wasn't able to connect people to possible business opportunities that early in my tenure in BNI. I was able to connect them to opportunities. Here are some things I want to cover really quickly on this. Set a date and time. So be proactive, be prepared, set a date and time. We tell people all the time when they come into BNI or when we're building core groups, if you've done launch, set aside 3 to 6 hours a week for your referral marketing activities. BNI is more than just a 90-minute chapter meeting. That meeting has its purpose as well. Outside the meeting, you're doing things like one-to-ones. So you'll schedule that an hour a week. You are doing a follow-up on referrals that you received. You're hopefully doing some CEUs. Perhaps you are inviting other people in your network to come and meet the members of your BNI chapter. Set that date and time and block off time on your calendar every week to do one-to-ones. Prepare your worksheets in advance. Make sure all your documents are ready so that you can exchange them before the meeting. And you probably ideally would want to exchange them 48 hours, maybe even 72 hours before the meeting, because that gives your referral partner an opportunity to review the information and think about some questions they might want to ask you. Maybe I sit down with Janet and I say, okay, Janet, tell me about, your service area, or tell me a little bit about your ideal client. What's your why? Just getting to know people. What are some questions that might be on your mind based on the information on their bio or on their gains exchange? So send that information in advance. You can send the worksheets. You can send them a link to your website. You could send them to your LinkedIn profile. You can send them your BNI Connect profile. So lots of ways we can exchange information and prepare in advance. Reconfirm the time and location the day before. How many of you, I see Janet, I can see Janet on my screen, she's going, yeah, right. How many of you have ever been accidentally stood up for a one-to-one and thought, oh man, we don't want people to blow their credibility by forgetting about the meeting. So make sure we've got it on our calendar. Exchange contact information. Make sure you send the person a WhatsApp or a text or a reminder the day before. Hey, Janet, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at XYZ location at this time for our one-to-one. All right. So reconfirm the day before. Bring your worksheets to the one-to-one. As Abilio mentioned, his referral partner had that list of here's the people I want to get in front of. Have it in front of you. It's a great reminder. These are the people that I want to get in front of. Do you know anyone at these companies? Do you know someone in one of these industries? It opens up doors for opportunities for us, and it allows us to take notes. Conduct your referral strategy session and make it a referral strategy session, splitting the time evenly between referral partners. So take the time to take a few minutes, get to know each other, take a few minutes for each of you, talk about what you're looking for and who you are looking to be introduced to. Who's a great potential client? Who's a great potential referral partner? And can we help each other out? How are we going to help each other out? So these are some of the ways that you can make an impact with your one-to-ones, is to plan, prepare, be strategic, and make introductions. I frankly believe that a major key to having an impactful one-to-one is to commit to goals and take action on behalf of your referral partners. So some of you said the person got on the phone right there and called, right? And that's happened. I've heard people tell those stories. Maybe I tell Truman, hey, Truman, I'm going to introduce you to Abilio Gonzalez in my network. I'm going to do that via an email exchange. I'd like to contact Abilio first and just let him know that I'm going to do the introduction, and then I'll get the two of you connected. If you don't see an email from me by noon next Tuesday, in the spirit of our core value of accountability, please remind me of the commitment that I made to you. All right. So having a follow-up plan and staying true to the commitment that you made to your referral partner is an essential part of making an impact. I'd like to hear from you guys. What are some of the goals that you might have for your one-to-one? So what are some of the things you might be following up on? Just feel free to raise a hand or share in the chat. What are some things you might be following up on? A formal introduction. Yes. When's our next one-to-one? Yes. An introduction for the referral. Who did I say I would connect somebody with? Yeah. Those are all the things, right? Maybe the person asked for a piece of information or some support of some kind. I can think about when I was fairly new again in Charlotte, and there was a gal that I really wanted to establish a relationship with. I respected her very much. She was in a very similar industry to mine, leadership development, training, customer service training, things like that. And I wanted to build a strategic relationship with her. And at the time, I didn't really have a referral that I was able to give her. She did tell me, though, that she was working on getting her distinguished Toastmaster designation, and she had a project that she was working on, and it was a fundraiser, and she needed some support for that. And so I was able to offer her support at a time when she needed it, and that brought value to the relationship. So at that moment, I wasn't necessarily able to give her a referral partner or a direct piece of business, but I was able to give her something that was important to her and that mattered to her. So think about those things too. There are other ways that we bring value to the relationship. Speaking of value, I think some of the other things you could do is you could offer to promote your referral partner in some way. Maybe you give them a shout out on social media, or maybe you write a testimonial for their website. What are some other things you could do? You could nominate them for an award. So there's a lot of things that we can do to make it impactful and make a commitment to helping our referral partner grow their business and reach their goals. And to Janet's point, bring a vision to life, which is very exciting. All right. I want to emphasize as we're wrapping up here, the importance of focus. Time is a precious resource. It is finite. There is no more. People say time is money. You can earn more money, but time is a finite resource. When we use it effectively in our one-to-ones, that time well invested, don't spend your time. What you spend goes away. What you invest, you get a return on. That time well invested delivers a return. If we follow the structured approach recommended by BNI, using the suggested documents, we are going to have a good focused conversation, a great opportunity to generate referrals. And there's one more way of getting 20 points on our power of one is by giving a referral every week, right? The other thing I want to say about this is that last year in BNI, 2023, our members passed $23.3 billion in closed business on 15.1 million referrals. What that means is that the average referral value in BNI last year was about $1,550 US. Why am I bringing this up? Because if we do an effective referral strategy session and we are passing referrals, that's a pretty good return on a 1 hour investment, right, of your time to sit down with your referral partner and generate some business for one another. So I just want to bring that kind of to everyone's mind as we think about focus. I don't know about you guys. Nobody needs another meeting, right? We're all busy. If our meetings are focused, though, and we have goals for our meetings, and we have discussed over the course of the last 40 minutes or so, these meetings do have a goal, right? And so that is what we want to accomplish, is passing referrals, making that our focus and using that time wisely. All right, let's wrap it up. We talked about why we do one-to-ones, to build relationships and generate referrals, right? Strengthen those relationships, open up opportunities for each other. What is an effective one-to-one? It's a focused referral strategy session, which is your time very well invested. What tools do you have available to you? We gave you the bio, the gains, the contact sphere, and last 10 customer worksheets. Those tools are a great way for you to have an effective, focused one-to-one conversation. And then how can you make an impact? Follow up. Commit to taking action on behalf of your referral partner, and then follow up and follow through with your commitment. Before I wrap us up with a super powerful quote that relates to this whole conversation, I would be happy to take any questions that are on your mind related to one-to-ones, or any additional comments that you guys might have about a great referral you received or a lovely story that you just want to share before we wrap up. But happy to take questions during this time.
So we do have, as people start putting them in the Q&A, we do have one that's already there from Nympha, which is actually what I was going to address while people are just putting their questions down. How soon is this recording available in BNI Business Builder? A great question. It will be available within 48 hours of this training. So you can find it there in just a couple days.
Excellent. Thank you, Truman. And thank you for that question. It looks like we have Damien's got a hand up.
I do. Thank you, Gina. I'm a recent member to BNI within the last year, and I'm also the chapter president at the moment. One of our members shared with me a presentation that was done to a chapter a number of years ago about 3 different levels of one-to-ones. Does that ring a bell? Sound familiar? Is there somewhere that, because we're focusing on one-to-ones over the next 2 quarters in our chapter, so it sounded like something that would be a really great training resource, but they're talking about the difference of sort of escalating the depth of the one-to-ones, and someone had come in and done a presentation about that, but they didn't remember who, they didn't remember the presentation, they didn't have any notes or anything from that. So just curious if that rings a bell for anyone on the global team.
That is a great question. Steve, do you have any? I am not familiar with it. We can certainly put out the ask on our training POC WhatsApp chat and see if someone's familiar. Steve, are you still here? Is it that
Yes.
familiar to you?
Not familiar to me. You know, everybody kind of puts a little spin on things, I guess you could say. I don't think there's ever been an official levels of one-to-one. You know, I've seen some different types of levels of referrals and things like that. Everybody likes to put their own nuance on it, but I don't think there's anything official.
Okay, good to know.
Damien, if you will send me a direct email, ginaharold@bni.com.
Yep.
Just my name, ginaharold@bni.com, and please just ask me about that. We'll put a request out at the training POCs and just see if we can find out anything for you, and so that we can respond to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks,
Gina. We'll see what we can find.
That's awesome. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Heather, thank you for posting in the chat. There is a training called Advanced One-to-Ones that covers 10 different types of one-to-ones. Excellent. And I see that Solomon has a hand up.
Yes, thank you very much, Gina. Very insightful. I'm currently a chapter president in Uganda with 73 members. And what's the one statement you would say to a new member that to encourage them to do one-to-ones, one that may not be keen on it or is still shy and struggling to break through? How would you encourage them to go out and do one-to-ones? Thank you.
That is a great question. I think, for me, I would definitely ask them a question. Who are the people in the chapter that are your best referral partners, to start? And then I would encourage them to approach those people and maybe even serve as, if I were that person, I might serve as the connector and offer to do, an introduction to those people. Sometimes our newer members are a little bit more introverted and a little bit more shy. And so we need to, as seasoned members, it doesn't take long to knowing me to know that I'm slightly introverted or extroverted, excuse me. However, if I go into a room of people that it feels like they all know each other, I'm going to kind of stay back a little bit and see what I can figure out about the dynamics and all of that before I am assertive enough probably to approach people. And so, Solomon, I think I would say, encourage them that in the spirit of givers gain, we do want to get to know them. I would also encourage your existing members not to let the person just kind of feel like they're an outsider. But you could also serve as a connector for them by making an introduction and saying, hey, I'd like to introduce you to this person. Feel free, if anybody else has ideas to share, if you've had this experience in your chapter or you've helped somebody overcome their fear of kind of just approaching someone, feel free to share. I love the group sharing. That's where the magic happens. Anyone else thoughts on that one?
I was just typing.
Pair them with a mentor. Yeah. Yes, Stephanie, thank you for sharing the chat. Pair them with a mentor to help them connect. Excellent. Steve, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say exactly that. I was busy typing, but it takes me too long to type. But the mentor should be facilitating a lot of those things. But also, I always, got with our power team leaders that if you get a new member into your power team, we accept a new member in the chapter, they're part of your power team, is help them schedule the one-to-ones with those other members in the power team to get them off on the right track, to make sure that we're improving their experience and their success in BNI.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that, Steve. Appreciate you. All right. I don't see any other questions or any other hands up. So I would like to wrap us up with a quote in BNI tradition. And I feel like this quote really is apropos of our conversation today, because accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. So we have the one-to-one, and the way to make the best impact is to stay accountable to each other and to make the commitment to make those introductions and open those doors for your referral partners. Based on some of the stories that you guys told today, you have heard it can be life-changing. One referral can make the difference in someone's life or business that is something more powerful than even they could have ever dreamed of. So keep yourself accountable, keep your referral partners accountable, make your commitments, and make the magic happen with one-to-ones. All right. With that, we are done.
Thank you, Gina.